The year is 1888. London's East End is a place where poverty and darkness live side by side. In the narrow, fog-choked streets of Whitechapel, gaslights flicker weakly against a thick, suffocating mist. It is late at night, and something terrible is about to happen. Over the course of just a few months, 5 women will be found brutally murdered. Their killer will never be caught. He will never be identified, and he will become the most infamous unidentified murderer in human history. His name: Jack the Ripper. Welcome to the archive.
I have found it, the truth, hidden among these lost documents.
To understand the horror of Whitechapel in 1888, you first have to understand the world these women lived in. Whitechapel was one of the poorest districts in London, overcrowded, disease-ridden, and desperate. Thousands of people lived in filthy lodging houses, sleeping in shifts because there weren't enough beds. Women without means or family often had no choice but to sell themselves on the street just to survive one more night. It was into this world of shadows and desperation that a killer emerged, one who chose his victims with terrifying precision and vanished into the fog every single time. The first confirmed victim was Mary Ann Nichols. She was found in the early morning hours, her throat slashed, her body mutilated in ways that shocked even hardened police officers. But this was only the beginning. Just over a week later, a second woman was found, Annie Chapman. The mutilations this time were even more severe and more precise. Whoever was doing this didn't just want to kill. He wanted to cut, to remove, to take something with him. Police were baffled. There were no witnesses, no evidence, no trace of the killer, as if he simply dissolved into the London fog. Then, on a single night in late September, the unthinkable happened. 2 women were murdered within the same hour in 2 different locations: Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. The killer was growing bolder, faster, more confident that he would never be caught. And he was right. Weeks later, a letter arrived at a London news agency. It was signed, Jack the Ripper. Whether it was truly written by the killer or by someone else entirely remains one of the greatest debates in criminal history. Handwriting experts have argued about it for over a century. Some believe it was a hoax written by a journalist desperate to sell newspapers during a media frenzy that gripped the entire country. Others believe it came from the killer himself, taunting the police who had no leads, no suspects, and no way to stop him. A second letter followed soon after, this one even more disturbing, sent along with what the author claimed was a piece of a victim's organ. To this day, experts still debate whether that gruesome package was real or an elaborate, sickening prank.
The final victim, Mary Jane Kelly, was found inside her own rented room. What was done to her body was so severe, so beyond comprehension, that police reports from the scene remain some of the most disturbing documents in criminal history to this day. Unlike the previous murders, which happened outdoors under time pressure, this one happened behind a locked door. The killer had time, and he used every second of it. And then, nothing. The killings stopped as suddenly as they began. Scotland Yard investigated hundreds of suspects. Let's look at just a few of the men who came under suspicion. There was Aaron Kosminski, a Polish immigrant living in Whitechapel, reportedly suffering from severe mental illness. Police at the time considered him one of their strongest suspects, noting his familiarity with the area and his troubling behavior toward women. There was Montague Druitt, a barrister and teacher who was found dead in the Thames River just weeks after the final murder. Some police officials at the time privately believed he was the killer, and that his death by suicide was an admission of guilt. But no solid evidence ever tied him directly to the crimes. And then there was the theory that refused to die. The idea that the killer was connected to the royal family itself. Rumors spread that Prince Albert Victor, grandson of Queen Victoria, was somehow involved, or that a royal physician committed the murders to cover up a scandal involving the prince. Historians today largely dismiss this theory as pure fiction, but it captured the public imagination for generations, inspiring books, films, and endless speculation about a cover-up reaching the highest levels of British society. Was he a doctor with the surgical knowledge to make such precise cuts? Was he a foreigner, as many in the terrified public assumed, fueling a wave of xenophobia through the city? Or was he simply an ordinary man, walking unnoticed among his neighbors by day and becoming something else entirely once the fog rolled in? No one knows. And that is exactly why this case has never let go of the public imagination. Over the past 130 years, authors, detectives, and amateur investigators have proposed dozens of suspects. An entire field of research now exists, dedicated solely to this case. Researchers call themselves ripperologists, poring over century-old documents, court records, and newspaper archives, searching for the one clue everyone else missed. In 2014, a businessman named Russell Edwards claimed to have solved the case entirely. He had obtained a blood-stained shawl allegedly found near one of the victims and commissioned DNA testing that he claimed matched Aaron Kosminski's descendants. The story made headlines around the world. Case closed, some said. But the scientific community pushed back almost immediately. Critics pointed out that the shawl's chain of ownership couldn't be verified for over a century. There was no way to prove it was ever actually at a crime scene. The DNA itself may have been contaminated through generations of handling. To this day, the claim remains fiercely disputed, and most serious historians consider the case still officially unsolved. The truth is, we may never know for certain who Jack the Ripper really was. What we do know is this: 5 women, failed by the society around them, lost their lives in the most brutal way imaginable, and the man responsible walked free. His name lost to history, his face never seen, his motive never understood. Today, tourists walk the same cobblestone streets in Whitechapel, following in the literal footsteps of a killer who was never caught. Museums display his letters. Books analyze his every possible move. Walking tours operate nightly, guiding visitors past the exact locations where each victim was found. And still, the case file remains open. Was he a monster hiding in plain sight? A surgeon with a broken mind? A member of high society protected by power and privilege? Or simply a man the fog swallowed whole the moment his work was done? The city changed. The streets were paved over. The gas lamps were replaced with electric light. But the mystery remains exactly where he left it.
I have looked through every file, and it is here that I must finally accept the truth.
If you believe history hides more dark secrets, and if you want to join us as we uncover the forgotten dossiers of the past, hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a comment with your own theory on who Jack the Ripper truly was, and join the family. A new file is already being opened, and the next truth might be even more terrifying than the last. See you soon.